Hi brothers and sisters, Jonathan here again. This is an addendum to the original September 2025 Rapture timeline video. If you have not seen that video and the companion document yet, please go view them first so that you understand how this timeline was built step by step and then come back to this video. The purpose of this addendum is to add the 2300 day count from Daniel 8:14, as this was the only day count that had not been accounted for in the original timeline. The reason it was not part of the original timeline is because I did not yet fully understand it at the time the video was made. After spending a lot of time in prayer and study of the scriptures, I believe the placement of the 2300 days and the events surrounding it have become clear. So let's first look at the passage from Daniel 8:9-14 concerning the 2300 day count and the little horn, who is the Antichrist. As we can see here, this passage talks about the Antichrist and the abomination of desolation. This is the same abomination of desolation that we see in Daniel 9:27 and Daniel 12:11. Then we see the question being asked, how long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression of desolation to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden underfoot? The answer we see is, unto 2,300 days. Then shall the sanctuary be cleansed. The sanctuary here should be understood as the soon-to-be-built third temple. From this interaction between the two saints, we can determine the two criteria that the 2300 day count must fulfill. First, the day count must end with an event that would cleanse the third temple. Second, the day count must include the abomination of desolation because it is specified in the question itself. Also, the abomination is what causes the third temple to require cleansing, so it should naturally be assumed to be part of the day count since the day count is about the cleansing of the third temple. So before I move on to the placement of the 2300 day count on the timeline, I want to first discuss the original Hebrew that is translated to day in this verse. The Hebrew word normally used for day is yom. This is the Hebrew word used for all the other day counts in the book of Daniel. However, in this case, the Hebrew does not use yom but instead uses erev boker, which means evenings and mornings. This is an allusion to the evening and morning sacrifices made in the temple in Jerusalem in the past. Because of this, some people have brought up the possibility that the 2300 evenings and mornings should really mean 1150 days, because 2300 individual sacrifices will supply 1150 days worth of sacrifices at a rate of 2 sacrifices per day. To cover all bases, I will first attempt to use this understanding of the 2300 evenings and mornings to see if it is viable within the timeline based off the aforementioned 2 criteria. So if you try to place a window of 1150 days starting at the abomination of desolation on March 6, 2029, the 1150 days end on April 28, 2032 during this period of time here. This doesn't seem to make sense because how would the third temple be cleansed during the period of the 5th and 6th trumpet judgments of Revelation, and also while the Antichrist is still ruling for 42 months from Jerusalem starting at the abomination of desolation, according to Revelation 13:5. Actually, now that we're looking at this timeline, the only event on the timeline that would logically coincide with the cleansing of the third temple would be the second coming of Jesus to the earth, because Jesus in his glorified state entering the third temple would be what would cleanse it. So if we understand that the 2300 days or evenings and mornings must include both the abomination of desolation and the second coming of Jesus to the earth, the interpretation of the 2300 evenings and mornings cannot mean 1150 days, because there are 1290 days separating the abomination of desolation and the second coming. Therefore, we must interpret the 2300 evenings and mornings simply as 2300 days, just as it was translated. So now we really only have one option for the placement of the 2300 day count. The day count must end at the second coming, so we simply count backwards 2300 days from the second coming on September 15th, 2032 to reach the start of the time frame. This lands us on May 31st, 2026. But what event does this date coincide with? Daniel 8:14 keeps it as a mystery, but leaves a crucial clue hinting at what it might be. This clue is the strange use of erev boker, evenings and mornings, in Hebrew, instead of yom or day. Why is evenings and mornings used here? Recall that this phrase is an allusion to the evening and morning sacrifices made in the temple. I believe this use of evenings and mornings is implying that the temple sacrifices begin at the start of the 2300 days, meaning that the third temple is also completed at that time on May 31st, 2026. Assuming the 7-year peace treaty between Israel and many nations from Daniel 9:27 allows Israel to destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque on the Temple Mount and begin building the third temple in exchange for the official creation of a Palestinian state, that would provide a little over 8 months from the first rapture of the Bride of Christ and the confirming of the 7-year peace treaty by the Antichrist on September 23rd to 24th, 2025 until the third temple is completed on May 31st, 2026. You may be thinking, how can the third temple be built in such a short time? But apparently, the Temple Institute in Israel has already prefabricated most of the third temple at this point. They will simply need to put the pieces together like Legos, which would only take a number of months, making this time frame totally plausible. So to summarize, the 2300 day count from Daniel 8:14 starts on May 31st, 2026 with the completion of the third temple in Jerusalem and the start of the temple sacrifices, and lasts until the second coming of Jesus to the earth on September 15th, 2032. For anyone who's left behind and is still able to see this video and the companion document, which is linked in the description box below, you will know that the whole timeline is correct when you see the temple sacrifices beginning at this time. With this, I believe the timeline is complete. Thank you for watching, and please share the timeline videos and the end times document if you feel called to. With just over a week left until all these events begin, let us really focus on preparing ourselves and others for what is to come. God bless all of you, and see you all soon in the air.